Italian Wine Podcast, a Wine2Wine Business Forum 2021 media partner, is proud to present a series of sessions highlighting the key themes and ideas from the two-day event held on October the 18th and 19th, 2021. This hybrid edition of the Business Forum was jam-packed with the most informed speakers, discussing some of the hottest topics in the wine industry today. For more information, please visit wine2wine.net and tune in every Thursday at 2 p.m. Central European Time for more episodes recorded during this latest edition of Wine2Wine Business Forum.
Good morning, buongiorno, dobre utro. If you are present in person at Wine2Wine Business Forum, you may have noticed that there is a large delegation of Russian importers now in Verona. And surprisingly, 6 out of 8 people are ladies. So the female side is presented very, very well this time. And you would think that the questions of inclusivity, of female participation in business is quite serious. However, things are not so straightforward, and even though the sign of having so many lady importers is a really nice sign, there are lots of underlying issues. And today we have a great session with Irina Fomina, who is the chairman of board and founder of MBG, Moscow Business Group, which is one of the historic importers in Russia, with more than 25 years of experience. And I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Irina. Добрый день, Irina.
Thank you very much, Eleonora. Grazie mille.
We are starting without any further ado, rather than going through the official resume. We'll be talking about your company in many different questions. So in this way, I don't want to do a formal resume first. So we'll be going through it during the interview.
Okay.
And let's start with this. In Russia, Irina, somebody called you the first lady of the Russian wine import business. So running a wine business, is this something natural to you?
You know, I don't quite understand the essence of this question because woman or not woman, I have been running this company for 25 years. Even if in the beginning, if it was not so natural, now it's completely natural.
Right, but how would you describe your management style? How do you actually run?
I'm a tough manager, that's true. But I'm also a people person. A woman can be very efficient as a manager if she uses her intuition while keeping calm. All these definitely in addition to her professional skills.
Before we move on, I'd just like to mention for our audience that Irina has the company which is called Moscow Business Group, which is not just one import company. In fact, there are 2, MBG or MBG in Russian, and the second one is Millennium, which appeared later. And maybe not so many people know that there is also a cosmetics company. And so before getting into detail with all your various businesses, and of course, I also need to mention that you have restaurant projects, 2 very different restaurant projects. So it's quite a really large business holding. But before getting into detail with this, I wanted to ask, how many women do you actually have in key positions in not just an MBG, but generally in your group of companies?
We have many women in MBG and Millennium, more than in cosmetic. That's maybe rather interesting, but this is the truth. It's historically like this. In MBG, operations director is a woman, commercial director is a woman, portfolio director is a woman, chief accountant is a woman, and I can go on a lot. Mm-hmm.
Right, but these decisions were made purely on the professional skills, on the assessment.
Purely.
Right.
Nothing else.
So in this way, we can say that, Russia is not really behind. It's just a very European model, how things should be run nowadays, really. Especially now that Russia generally is viewed as a patriarchal society. So everybody looks for a Tsar or, a very strong male figure who will head the society. I would ask you this question. Is it more challenging for you to run the business in this atmosphere, in this context? That you're perhaps the only woman who is actually the chairman of board, being female. If I think about wine importing companies, there are not so many.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Yeah.
So, would you say that it's more challenging in this way to be a woman?
First of all, I wanted to express myself, and I don't agree that Russia is a patriarchal society. Even in former days, during the Soviet Union period, there were many women running different industries of the country. You may also remember that the Valentina Tereshkova, who was the first woman in space, and now we have the first actress which was in space for they were filming a movie. Very interesting too. In modern Russia, it's also very interesting because in Federation Council we have a chairwoman. We have in Duma deputy chairman, a woman. We have 2 deputy prime minister of Russia, women. One for social policy and another one for agro-industrial complex, natural resources and ecology. The chairwoman of a Russian state bank, woman, Elvira Nabiulina. Even Central Election Commission of Russia, woman.
Right. So probably it's about time that people stopped thinking about this stereotype that.
Yeah, and also what one other interesting thing in St. Petersburg we have the Eurasian Women's Forum every year since 2015, and this is a largest international platform uniting female leaders from a lot of countries. Where women can discuss the role of women in the modern world and work out new approaches to solving global problems. This year, the forum was attended by 482 international participants from 110 countries. So that's a picture of Russia, modern Russia. And about challenging to run business being a woman, I think that everything depends on person, and it's not so important if you are a woman or a man. Sorry.
Yeah, no, effectively you're right, and I'm just really happy that you underlined that the female force is actually quite strong. Maybe it needs to be communicated better internationally. It exists. It's already a phenomenon which is already well established and well spread in Russia. So I'm really glad that you've highlighted that. And now there is maybe an issue which I find sensitive, even regarding me. And to start with, I'd like to share my own experience. When I just moved to Italy, it was 16 years ago, and I wasn't known. Well, I didn't introduce myself at the beginning. I'm a wine journalist. I'm the founder and publisher of spaziovino.com, which is the premier website about Italian wines in Russian language. I've been involved in wine for almost 20 years. When I moved to Italy 16 years ago, and I wasn't quite known, I was visiting lots of wineries at the beginning, and people didn't know me. And in Tuscany, we went to see a rather famous, internationally famous estate. I was there with the owner. I was there as a journalist to prepare quite an important feature about this estate. And I was accompanied by the owner. He was a man. And at some point, his phone rang, and he was speaking to somebody in Italian. And he was saying, I'm busy. Sono qui con una bella ragazza. I'm here with a nice girl. To be honest, I was not impressed with this attitude because I was there, if somebody runs me, I don't say that, I'm here with a
Però questo è vero, perché no?
Handsome man, yeah. So dealing with your foreign partners from Italy, but not necessarily Italy, from any country, have you ever found yourself in such situations when your male partners would have a dismissive attitude towards you just because you're a woman? And let's play fair. Let's also ask these questions. Did this ever play in your favor as well? Did you put it to your advantage?
I've never ever found myself in a situation where my male business partner had dismissive attitudes towards me because I am a woman. Never. This is absolutely true. But sometimes there were situations when it worked to my advantage.
Right. Well, I'll be very curious to hear that. Can you give us some examples?
It's the same story when people, when they see that you are a woman, beautifully dressed, with hairdo, etc. A lot of people around us, they are men, and this is absolutely natural. It could help, but nevertheless, your professional skills and your brain is much more important. If it goes together, you could be a winner. If not, not.
Yes, we have this really nice Russian proverb. When you meet somebody for the first time, they judge you by their appearance. But when they say goodbye to you, they judge you by your brain. It's pretty much the message of this proverb, which I totally agree with. Okay, so we have touched upon the purely female issues, and now I'd like to spend a bit of time talking about the import wine business, and particularly about your Italian portfolio. So first of all, quite a general question. So you've run MBG and then later the second company called Millennium in total for over 25 years. So you have a really long history of running a wine import business. How did things evolve in this quarter of a century?
Quarter of a century. Oh, yeah. Really a long period.
Oh, yes.
During this time, it never came to my mind that it's really a quarter of a century. During this time, our company has experienced really very different moments. When we first started importing wine in Russia, it was perceived as an exceptionally luxury and took up a small share in consumption. Now the situation has changed. Russians love wine and are already very versed in it, especially when compared with what happened 15 or 20 years ago. On the other hand, we have experienced as a company, as a country, several very severe crises. Their dates are very well known to everyone in Russia: 1998, 2008, 2014, and of course, global 2020. Surely it didn't help to gain the general wealth of the population, but could be also a vaccine that prevents us to lose optimism in difficult situations. As for MBG continues to be a certain premium player in the market, but every time we try to adapt our strategy to the new reality and always kept working.
Yes, a question about consumers. You've mentioned that indeed the Russian people love drinking wine, but it wasn't like this 25 years ago. So at some point you had to introduce this culture because there was effectively no culture in the 90s.
It was no culture at all, so I can tell you some very funny story. We had clients who wanted to drink only Bordeaux Grand Cru, okay? And it was not even something very, very, very serious like Chateau Margaux, Chateau Lafite, and they were buying these wines by cases. And me personally, I adore matching foods and wine, the pairing, etc. But when one day I was invited to the dinner by these people, you cannot imagine. I almost fall down because they were drinking this wine with herrings, Russian style.
No. Well, that must be the most exotic and most clashing wine that I've ever heard of. Oh my goodness. But obviously now, things have moved on so dramatically. And just these days, we were celebrating the arrival of Michelin Guide in Russia. And I know that in Moscow now there are several even 2-star restaurants, and then a number of 1 Michelin star. But in total, over 60 restaurants, which we now mentioned in the Michelin Guide. So I bet none of these guys would ever think to combine herring with Chateau Margaux. Incredible. Right. So let's now touch upon your Italian portfolio. And I know that in 1996, your first Italian brand in MBG was Antinori. So, a really heavyweight from Tuscany, in internationally recognized company, a celebrity company, I can even say. And how did you manage to convince them to work with you? Because, back in those days, there was... I imagine that the company was quite small and just starting to develop. How did that happen?
Bearing in mind, it was a smaller market at the time. Antinori, maybe they had heard of our company. They came to see me. That was a story. As for me, I have been in love with Italy since the early 90s. Traveling a lot there, and I was hugely interested in Italian wine, which was maybe different to my competitors who featured French wines in their portfolio more. And believe me, I hadn't done anything to convince, to push Antinori to have MBG as a partner. But now we have 25, 26 years of friendship, and I am absolutely happy because it's almost a love story for 25 years. I adore these people, I respect them, and Piero Antinori, for me, he is like an icon, god, and that's Antinori people company.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you. And, what's also interesting, I remember your background, that when you started your company, you were more into, you were better prepared on the French side, let's say.
Yes, absolutely.
You were working with the French.
That's very... Yeah, that's very true. But, so my son was born in Paris, and I worked for a French company before, and I was very French-oriented girl. But my soul and heart belong to Italy.
Wow,
and
then
travel more. It was absolutely no. My choice was done, and till now I adore Paris. I like and love French culture, but my heart and soul is Italian. Maybe I had been Italian before in my previous life.
Who knows? But certainly, that there are certain emotions which I think not just you, but lots of Russians have towards Italy. And I think this feeling is mutual, which is important.
Yes, because we have a lot of things together. This feeling of mamma, ospiti, pasta, mangiare bene. I think that we have a lot of in common. That's why it's like this.
Yeah, and maybe that's why also it's easier for us to make friends, to make new connections in Italy. Mm-hmm. Right. Now I know you have quite a serious portfolio, obviously very well established, with great producers from all over the world. And there are about a dozen of them from Italy. Among them, I would like to mention just a few. For example, there are Elena Valk from Alto Adige, or Rini from Veneto, Le Macchiole from Bulgaria, Argiolas from Sardinia, and they are all run by women. And now we were talking about Antinori. Also, in the last few years, Albiera Antinori, the daughter of Piero, took over the business, and she is a fantastic...
Three of girls. Albiera, Allegra, and Alessia, they are involved in business, 3 of them.
Yeah, so we have now all these ladies: Elena Valk, Marilisa Allegrini, who is also an amazing personality, Cinzia Merli, who had a really interesting story as well, and then Valentina Argiolas, who is actually present here at the Wine2Wine Forum. Yeah. So is that a coincidence that, a considerable part of your portfolio is actually the female producers from Italy?
Eleonora, I'm happy that the situation is like this, but this has never even crossed my mind And the truth is that this is coincidence.
Right. Well, it's a very happy and really good coincidence. And I think, now in Italy, the female force is also, it's always been there, but it's kind of been not communicated properly. So I think it's about time that these things are really at the fore of communication. Okay. And what about your general situation now with MBG, with Millennium, with the portfolio? Is it expanding? Are you keeping it the same? Because you're being you have a very set portfolio. You work with producers for a long time. All your partners are long established, and it's interesting to see whether you have plans to expand. How's the pricing going? Because we know that with the current situation, it's not very easy with the economic situation. So, and how is Italy generally performing compared to other countries or other brands which you have in your portfolio?
Okay, so we have an extensive and diversified portfolio in which we have wine of almost all wine-producing countries. We sell global brands, so like, for example, Antinori or Champagne d'Étanger, but also small and vibrant wineries like Markus Huber, for example, from Austria, and also like Récoltant from Champagne. MBG Millennium altogether have 80 exclusive contracts with producers. And from this, we have 23 contracts with Italy. In terms of sale, Italy is our historical core portfolio. And nowadays, Italy takes nearly 40% of our annual turnover. And even if the Russian market is changing and evolving a lot in such countries like Germany, New Zealand, Portugal, South Africa, we are showing growth performance in our Italian portfolio in contrast to the general stability of the whole wine market. As for pricing, by the way, also in Italy is number one in value, number one in ranking of countries, wine producers, wine exporters in Russia. And as for pricing, unfortunately, the demand is very high for the wines, which price is lower than 2.5 euro ex works. Yeah. And then there is also a demand for more than 16 euro. And now I am talking about the growth in importation. Unfortunately, the situation is like this.
So yeah, it's a complicated situation. On the one hand, it's quite encouraging to hear that your Italian presence performance is growing, despite the fact that you've had 25 years and lots of brands are quite historic for you. So it's good news that there is still room for the market.
Yes.
But as you are saying, it is rather complicated to with the current economic situation in Russia plus.
That's why less than 2.5 euro. That's why less, not because people don't have money. That's nonsense.
That's quite sad. Okay, before we round up, we still have a few minutes, and I'm really curious also to talk about your other businesses, just to see that you're not only the wine lady, that you have built a rather successful restaurant business. You have two very different directions. On the one hand, we are talking about Cantinetta Antinori, which is present in Moscow, which is a fine dining restaurant. And on the other side, you have the chain which is called Хлеб и вино, which is bread and wine, which is a chain of more democratic eateries. So completely two different concepts. And could you tell us a bit more about them?
Cantinetta Antinori, yeah. This is my project together with my friend, close friend, Arkady Novikov. And my way to the restaurant business was done by him, because in 1997 or 6, he invited me to join him in his project Grand Opera Restaurant. It was like a restaurant with a performance, with the beautiful performance. And it started like this. And for me, it was a priceless experience because I could look at my profession with the client's eyes. Then our second project, 17 years ago, we opened Cantina Tantinori, which is also unique experience, not only for me, but for MBG company. And we are both, Arkadia and me, we are very proud that the restaurant is going very well. And we have we have guests the same all these years, and some of them they come 2-3 times a week. Could you imagine? It means that they love the ambiance, wine and food, and so we are very, very, very proud. Arkady says that this Continente is one of his favorites and one of his real restaurants. By the way, you know that Arkady's restaurant Artrest got 2-star Michelin.
Yeah, congratulations to him and to you as the partner in this story. And I also should mention that I've been to the one in Florence, so the formats are a little bit different because obviously the one in Moscow is much more fine dining, let's say. And it's just compliments to both of you that you've managed to have such a great level of loyalty from your clients, from your customers who love coming there, especially in the context of Moscow where things move very fast.
Yeah, absolutely.
And restaurants do not really live for a very, very long time. So we should say that this is a really incredible and probably one of the unique cases when the restaurant is has such a reputation. And what about Хлеб and Vino?
Bread and wine, the idea was to open like a wine Starbucks.
Right.
Yeah, very democratic and easy. And now we have 3, and so we own 3 bread and wine, and 1 we have also in Moscow in franchising.
And obviously, the wines are supplied from MBG.
Yeah, by our companies. Yeah.
Right. And what is the range of wines which is present there?
Different. And we change it just to all these. We want to educate people. We want to create interest, in people for better know wines. We try to do different type of pairing, but all these very, very easy and democratic.
Okay, great. And maybe just a few words about your cosmetics company. This is obviously something quite natural for the woman to have. It's totally different from the wine business. So
it's
at the same time, didn't they? Both of these.
It was just like it was a coincidence that in 1995 I started both these businesses. I like cosmetics, generally speaking, being a woman. Yeah, and it started like this, and so the MBG Beauty is a very serious player on the markets, and there are a lot of things in common because both companies, they are importing companies, okay, and then we do distribution, and the channels of distributions are also very similar because we work now with MBG Beauty with big food shops for some range of our products, and also with beauty institutes, beauticians. It's more or less similar. And for me, wine and cosmetic, both activities are my passion. I like very much the phrase of Confucius: choose a job you love, and you'll never have to work a day in your life.
That's a great saying. So I guess you feel yourself on holidays.
Yeah, permanently.
Well, I'm wishing you to continue like that. Well, the time flies really quickly, and we've already been chatting for half an hour. So and I mean, we've been quite good. We've been on time, so everything goes well. And I think now it's the time to take some questions from our audience. So I have a couple of quite interesting questions, which are also really burning issues in our society. One of them, of course, is linked to COVID. And the question is, what impact has COVID had on Russian consumption habits?
COVID, this is a very interesting question, by the way. I don't know if you don't know that online sales of wines are prohibited in Russia. That's why, it's not so easy. You can go through the special wine shops, but like wine companies, we can deal with private clients, but we cannot sell online. And in COVID situation, this is not very easy. But nevertheless, when COVID started, we almost doubled in the first 2 months our sales to our private clients, because people, they stayed home and they wanted to drink wines, and maybe the mood was not very good, and they needed some sort of something great to warm up. And the restaurants, the HoReCa channel was in very bad situation, because we had lockdown for more than 2 months in Moscow, almost 3, and in regions even more, in St. Pete also even more. And then it started to open with restaurants from terraces, and then the only by the end of summer, HoReCa channel was open. What happened? What also very interesting. What happened afterwards, when the situation started to be better? People in the restaurants, they started to drink more expensive wine, and this was also maybe the effect that people, they were so tired to be nervous, to be scared, that they wanted to have a great celebration of the situation. Now the situation is not good in Russia, and we are waiting how it will be going on, because we have a lot of contagious people every day. But till now, everything is open, and people, they drink wine, and so the consumption is growing.
Yeah, so I understand, yes, that, unfortunately, we're still far away from saying that, it's all over us. So we are still living in this very uneasy period. But I totally agree that, like in other countries, the situation is that people maybe also realize that they'd rather drink something good now, because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow to you. Yeah, so it's, and I really sincerely hope that Russia will get out of situation like Italy, where things are stabilizing. Hopefully Russia will follow the same path very, very quickly. Okay, yes, somebody just asked the questions about e-commerce, but you've already touched upon it, that in Russia...
it's prohibited. We have with wine online shops, but by law it's prohibited.
Absolutely. Right. Well, I also have another quite interesting question, which is concerning our female impact. Irina, do you attribute the success of your company to the involvement of women in the management of the company? What is more important than so-called female intuition or professionalism?
Both. Intuition without professionalism is... It's very good. It helps, but as I said before, you have to have professional skills. If not, no.
Okay. Before we close, I know that you have some really interesting stories. You probably have lots of interesting stories connecting you to the Italian producers, or which general public doesn't know. And I know that you were indirectly connected to one of the wines which is becoming an iconic wine in Italy. It is from Lodovico Antinori. And I was really happy if you could share the story, how you were involved in the birth of this wine.
Okay, I can do it. It's very funny, because Lodovico doesn't remember rather well the situation. But when the famous wine Lodovico was produced for the first time, and the Lodovico Antinori came to our house in Sardinia with 2 bottles, just to share with us the taste, to taste together. The wine was great. First samples perfect, but I saw the name on the bottle, which was written like this by hand, and the name was very strange. It was something like Alpha something. I was really very much surprised with such a name, and I asked Lodovico, why did the wine has so strange name? And it's really strange name. And he said, I don't know what to do, how to call it. And my husband and me, the same time, we said, listen, there is a great name. Call this wine Lodovico, and that's all. This is a story. And now, so we were a little bit like madrino e padrino to Lodovico, the name. Yeah.
So in fact, you christened this wine, and I remember when I was tasting for the very first release, it's a really impressive wine, and I'm really happy that this inside story that there is a Russian involvement, that it actually is there. So it doesn't happen very often, but yes, maybe it will go now down in history. Okay, right. Going back a little bit to the e-commerce, there is one question just to clarify: does the online prohibition apply to all alcohol?
Everything. The only thing I don't know about the beer because I'm not a beer drinker, but everything.
Okay, and probably the last question, which is going to be serious, it's from me. If you could clarify, we have a couple of minutes left before we need to close up. If you could clarify the situation with the new law, which was passed in Russia in summer, and which involved the importation. I think it was affected quite badly. So just in a couple of words, what is the essence of the law, and how is the situation now? Are you able to import normally, or do you still have problems with the importation?
No, for wines is okay. It was the story with EGT, how to do it, etc. With wines is okay, its classification is okay, and so it's okay. They changed. And because in the beginning they wanted to name Chateau Margaux table wine Chateau Margaux. That's absolutely not possible. So with wine is okay. It was a very short period, maybe 1 week, when the situation was not very clear, but afterwards okay. Problem we have with champagne. Because Russian law says that on the labels, but not front label, the label which is behind it with Russian letters. Now it should be written sparkling wine, not champagne. Of course, French producers, they are not happy because champagne is only champagne, Montagne de Reims, and all these things, all these areas around. They were not happy, and they blocked the exportation, and the importing was also blocked and closed. We had BMBG and Millennium. We had almost 30,000 bottles in our warehouse in Latvia, which were blocked for 1.5 months. And now the situation is resolved, but not 100%, because then French side said that nevertheless it's not possible for the big important champagne houses to agree to such a discrimination. And our personal story, we are importing récoltant from Champagne because they were agree to this label. But till now, my two contracts, Laurent Perrier et Tétanger, I don't have Champagne. And I will have it a little bit late for the season. It will be in 2 weeks, because the deliveries were blocked by the producers in Champagne.
Right.
And I understand. And you asked me about the essence of this law. I can't understand it. This is really the most stupid possible thing which could have happened. I don't understand it, and I find it really unfair and out of logic.
Yeah, well, and unfortunately, the implications of the law and all the all the expenses, they all go again on the importer. So you are the one who has to deal, and it's really not a very fair play. It's
not fair play, and you know that for us now we are approaching the highest season of the year. Absolutely. And champagne is a drink of this highest season, number one. So
yes. Well, we need to close our session, unfortunately. And I thank you so much, Irina, for being honest, direct, and for having a really, really good 45 minutes. I hope that our audience got lots of new and valid information from us. And I thank everybody very much for being present. And of course, again, thank you, Irina,
Thank you very much.
And well, wishing you all the best, and hope to see you in Italy soon.
Thank you. Grazie mille.
Grazie. Okay. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.
Hi everybody! Italian Wine Podcast celebrates its 4th anniversary this year, and we all love the great content they put out every day. Cin Cin with Italian wine people has become a big part of our day, and the team in Verona needs to feel our love. Producing the show is not easy, folks. Herding all those hosts, getting the interviews, dropping the Clubhouse recordings, not to mention editing all the material. Let's give them a tangible fan hug with a contribution to all their costs. Head to ItalianWinePodcast.com and click donate to show your love.